Hello and welcome to another episode of Visiting Professionals. I am your host, Austin Slabaugh, and today I'm in the heart of Detroit visiting with producer and director Michael Manasseri.
Hey Austin, how you doing?
Doing good, man. And I'm also here with the Deka Brothers. Hey, stay tuned, guys. We got a lot of great stuff coming up.
Hi, my name is Austin Slabaugh. I'm a student at Open University. Most of my time is spent on campus in class. But when I'm not hitting the books, I'm visiting professionals.
Today on Visiting Professionals, I made my way to the historic Masonic Temple in Detroit to meet with Michael Manasseri and the Deka Brothers. Michael and the Dekas frequently collaborate to produce high-quality films, music videos, and commercials. I was kindly invited to watch and learn on a film set for a music video in production. Hey, how's it going, Mike? Nice to meet you.
Hey Austin, nice to meet you, man.
Think you can show me around the place?
I think I can. Yeah, come on in, let's go.
All right.
This is Julian, and this is Ben.
Nice to meet you. Sorry, hand's a little broke right now, so I gotta go lefty today.
All right, so these are the Deka Brothers, and they're the artists in residence at OU, and directors extraordinaire, and we do a ton of work together in Detroit and all other places. And see, you didn't even need to speak.
That's good. Yes.
What do you explain? What are we doing here today?
We are shooting a music video for a band called Individuals, and that's our first day of production. And we'll have 2 other days of shooting coming up this week.
All right, sweet. Let's get to it.
Cool, yeah.
The Deka Brothers, Michael, and an additional team of talented crew are filming a music video for a new French music act called Individuals. Exploring the film set was an amazing experience as I was able to see many different aspects of production happen right before my eyes.
I'm still rolling? Okay, here we go, fans on, let's go.
The shots the team were able to achieve looked incredible and right on par with a scene from a Hollywood blockbuster movie. Coming up after the break, my visit continues with Michael Manasseri and the Deka Brothers as I visit their editing suite. And later I sit down with them to ask them some important questions about their careers. When Visiting Professionals continues.
You're watching OUTV Channel 41. OUTV aims to provide informative and professional news packages covering what's happening on and around campus. Tune in each and every day to discover new things and learn more with our educational and engaging content. And if you're looking for highly entertaining and enjoyable programming, you're on the right channel. OUTV, Oakland University's premier cable channel.
Welcome back to Visiting Professionals. Today, I'm visiting with film producers and directors Michael Manasseri and the Deka Brothers. Let's go inside their loft and check out some of the magic they've been cooking up.
Hey Austin, how you doing, man?
What's up, Mike? How you doing?
Hey, good to see you. Come on in. I will show you our loft space down here in Detroit, and guys are editing right over here, so come on over here.
Sweet, let's check it out.
All right, hey guys, you guys remember Austin? Came to visit the set.
Good seeing you guys.
Deka Brothers. All right, Austin, I will leave you with them. I gotta go do some more stuff. Okay?
All right, sounds good. What are we working on today, guys?
So we're working on this music video that you came to the set the other day. And so we're cutting all the footage together, and we're also like messing up with the color right now because we're shooting raw. So we have the ability to really like manipulate the contrast and the colors of the image. Even while editing, usually the color grading is a step that happens after the edit, but it's always better to have like a better feel of what you're doing.
So I see you guys are working with a lot of Adobe products here, but how much of a role does computer software play in post-production work?
So, I mean, obviously we need these softwares to cut the films, to change the colors, and to deliver it as a product at the end. But the more we're progressing into this field, into our career, I think the less we are like dependent on visual effects in post-production. We are trying to get as much as possible stuff practically on camera. So back in the days when we were doing our first feature film, Sodium Babies, with these little cameras, we felt like adding a lot of After Effects things on top of the image to give more strength to the image was important. But as we're like moving forward now, we have better productions, so that means also better like production value on camera, and we're trying to come up with like atmospheric elements like haze or lights are always kind of moving or like flickering. There is movement in the frame, so we try to get the image to be as interesting as possible while we're on set, so we don't have to sweat over like using like a plugin or something that I don't know, that makes it more interesting and more like authentic somehow.
Well, I understand you all work together, Ben, Michael, Julian, but I hear that you guys have very different backgrounds. Ben and Julian, you guys are both from France?
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
France. And Michael, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Maryland and then New York City.
Maryland and New York. What made you decide to come over here into Michigan?
Family. Mostly family. Family mixed with the Michigan Film Intensive.
Gotcha. And now you guys, I imagine all your family's back home in France?
Yeah.
What made you guys decide to head over here?
So we met Michael back in France during like the 2008 Cannes Film Festival, during the market, and yeah, we decided to work with his company, his former company at the time. And he had a project, he was going to shoot a movie in Michigan, and he brought us as a director of photography. And yeah, and we kept working with him, and we ended up there.
So you met him at a film festival. Now, were you guys both competing against each other, or were you both working on the same project?
So the company that I used to be a partner with, it was called Big Screen Entertainment Group. We made a bunch of little indie movies, and this is when I was in Los Angeles. And then we also started selling those movies and other movies. And eventually that means you have to go to different film markets, or yeah, I mean film markets around the world. And so there's the Cannes Film Festival that everybody knows about. It happens every year. It's all the big Hollywood stars, et cetera, red carpet, lots of fun to watch on E-News, stuff like that. And so we were there, and we were in the bunker of the Palais. That's where we had our booth selling our stuff, and that's where we met. And they had a trailer for the film that they had shot in France, which was called Sodium Babies. And one of my associates at the time met with them, saw their trailer, was blown away by their trailer, and basically came to us and said, "Hey, you guys gotta meet these guys. You gotta look at their trailer." And that's the long story about how we met.
I gotcha. Now, when you guys first moved over here, did you even know any English when you came, or was it just all brand new to you? It was kind of just foreign territory, had no idea?
I mean, we spoke English, we learned English at school, we watched tons of like
American
movies, you know.
TV shows.
So our English was okay, it was
Gotcha.
enough to get yourself understood, but really not enough to really properly work, I think. I mean,
I think
we did work, but
it would have been more difficult for them if they had just gone right to Hollywood and started working there and working with the studio. I mean, it could have been great. I don't know. But in terms of kind of easing them into it, it made sense to me to, look, I'm here in the Midwest, and things are a little more relaxed here, and you can kind of get dip your toe in the waters here. Before jumping to bigger projects in Los Angeles.
Gotcha. Now, Ben and Julian, did you guys have any schooling back in France for filmmaking at all, or was this all just something that you guys have learned and taught yourselves?
Yeah, I mean, I did study cinema as soon as in high school, and then I went to college for this. It was a college that gave us a degree in theory and history of cinema and other art forms. They were really lacking everything that was practical. So with some fellow students on the side, we created like a collective of artists,
Okay.
and we started to shoot our own stuff parallel to the studies at the university.
Okay, that's pretty sweet. Did you go through the same process as well?
Yeah, not really. I was more like into science when I was younger, and I came like to when I went to college. I was living with Julien and his friends. It was impossible for me like to study like biology.
Oh, okay. So he was being the loud, rowdy one. You couldn't do any studying.
No, yeah,
no?
man, I was pulled away from my studies because I was, they were having fun. I was like, yeah, that's great. So at the end, I quitted biology, and I joined the same kind of university, and
Okay. Now, Michael, what was it about Ben and Julian that really caught your eye? I know you talked a little bit about their trailer that it was, but was there anything else about them that really just stood out and said, hey, I gotta get these guys down here?
I mean, really, when we met at Cannes, it was the trailer for their film, which was just super impressive. And I mean, not just the directing and even Ben's acting, but also just I mean, sitting behind us on this shelf over here is an MTV Music Award that they won for Best Visual Effects.
Yeah, congratulations, guys. Seriously, that's huge.
And even though they're more film directors than anything else, than visual effects artists, et cetera, but of course there's a strength there in visual effects works that they've done. And in that particular trailer for that film that they made that first film, part of it was also just the visual effects were pretty stunning.
What happened? The movie was shot with DV cameras, so it's like prosumers camera, consumers cameras, not like high-end quality, and so we were feeling almost like a shame of the quality of our image, I think, compared to pros. So we extensively worked on it in post-production, in After Effects, and adding layers of which were helping the film because it was like kind of a supernatural film, a vampire movie. So, and we were like trying to go toward this very comic bookish kind of look. Mm-hmm. And to really change the
flat look of
the flat look of the DV image, mm-hmm. And enhance it as much as we can, but still making sense within the story.
Now, the change in technology with going from the cameras that they had back when you guys were starting out and then going from where we are now, how has that really changed the way that you guys film and do everything it is that you do?
I think so even when we were shooting with DV cameras, I think we were trying to emulate this more like filmic look from real film cameras. The irony in that is we never shot film actually, we always shot digital because when we moved to the States, we were shooting with these digital cinema cameras, the red one. And so for us it was super exciting. It was kind of like the super upgrade from the DV camera going to like a bigger digital camera that shoot like with a film size sensor. So it was super exciting, and I think the transition, we were still in the digital image world, so the transition was smooth, and we had great technicians, they knew what they were doing, so...
Yeah. Felt like a kid in a candy shop with all the new toys, eh?
Yeah. And just finally the image was looking the way like we expected it to look for since the beginning,
That's great. Now, Ben, going from your acting career, Michael, I understand that you had an acting career as well. Did you care to elaborate on that?
A very long time ago, when I was a kid, I was a child actor, and and that is the reason why I got into this business. I mean, that's kind of my path. I didn't go to film school. I was an actor. I did a lot of stuff on stage. I did stuff on Broadway in New York, and then I did a ton of commercials. Eventually, took me out to Los Angeles for
How did you
movies.
first get involved in that, anyways?
School plays.
School plays.
School plays. My brother and my sisters, we were all in school plays. My parents really have nothing to do with the film industry or the theater world. We did some school plays, and eventually some people in the industry saw us doing different small productions.
Wow.
And kind of said to my parents, hey, they're pretty good at this. So, do you want to look into it? And my parents always said, I mean, listen, if you guys enjoy doing this, we'll support you in it, and if at any time you don't enjoy doing it, tell us and you won't do it anymore. And it did change, it changed our lives. I mean, it changed everything about our family in terms of schooling and where people living at different times, because my brother and I were doing stuff on Broadway, and then traveling around the country with another show. And then in the 90s, that's really when I was in Los Angeles, and I just got real fortunate. I worked on TV a lot, and then eventually got my own TV show that was based on the movie Weird Science. It's called Weird Science, and it ran for a really long time. And actually, part of when we met in France, in Cannes, I didn't even know it, but my TV show was actually really popular in France.
Really? No way. So you guys knew of the TV show back in France? Really? That's awesome.
The show was called Code Lisa in France.
Code Lisa.
It was like, Code Lisa!
Yeah.
And Michael was like, what?
No way.
It was funny, because it was like a meeting we were talking
was this
about.
before you even had any talks about working with these guys at all? Just kind of
We had talks because we were
process.
coming back, so that was the second time.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
so they were coming back because we were talking about their movie, and yeah, it was just really funny because in the middle of the meeting, their buddy just goes, "Code Lisa!" And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
What really made you decide that you wanted to go from acting and then starting your own company, Flux Capacitor?
It just was kind of a natural progression. Like I said, I was really fortunate. I worked a lot in TV and film. I was always on sets. I was always on sound stages, and I was able to watch what these guys are doing and the different directors that I had on the show. Just talking with them for years and years. And I remember actually one of the really, really great directors on our show. His name was David Grossman. He went on to direct a lot of great television. He came up to me one day, and we were just talking about directing, and he said, "Dude, you could do this job. You could absolutely do this job." And that kind of left an impression on me, like, yeah, maybe someday I can do that job. And even after the show, I had reached a point where all I had done work-wise in my life was acting. And I knew I wanted to stay in the entertainment industry. I knew I wanted to tell stories. And I just wanted to I love acting, I respect acting. I wanted to do something more than just acting.
I hear you.
So and I think that happens a lot for actors or young actors who are growing up, and they eventually, if they're lucky enough, they can make a transition. And I had other people around me, other actors who I knew, who were friends, who were kind of feeling the same way. And so we actually had started working together in LA and eventually developed that company that took me to Cannes to meet these guys. And then for here, being in Michigan, that transition, like I said, that was really about, my parents were living here at the time. My older sister started a family. She was in LA, but then she moved here because my parents were here. And when the Michigan Film Incentive started, I really thought, okay, I miss my parents. I've been gone long enough. If I can still make movies in Michigan with this incentive and be with my family, well, that would be perfect. So, and even though the film incentive, as we now know in 2017, has been gone for quite some time now, for me, it very much changed my life and basically brought me here, which also brought them here. And at the same time, the company that I have now, Flux Capacitor, who we work with OU in the Cinema Studies program and do all our stuff here in Michigan, that's how that happened.
Now, has it been a really big hardship for you guys as a group to find work now that those incentives have been taken away?
It certainly absolutely has changed the dynamics of things. I mean, do you want to?
No, I mean, you will know more about it, but I think it shifted a bit our focus in terms of how can we make a living out of our job. So we had to go more toward commercials and more like video work, rather than just like pure filmmaking.
Yeah, I mean before the film incentive started, apparently there was about maybe $2 to $5 million a year of films that were shot in Michigan, and then when the film incentive started, that jumped to like $300 million a year.
Wow, that's a big jump.
Of movies that were going on, and then when they killed it in 2015, it basically went back
all the way back down
to less than $2-3 million a year. Yeah. So I mean,
we lost a lot of crew because they,
that's the main thing.
They moved like the people we were used to work with, including in film or music videos or commercials. They moved to where the job was. So
we're fortunate that we do commercials also. We do music videos, and like Ben was saying, that is kind of the activity that we even had to shift more toward to stay active.
Now, going from all those hardships, what's the positive outcome of staying here in Michigan aside from moving to Georgia or LA?
I mean, one of the main things is Detroit. It's just what's been the great stuff that's been going on with Detroit, the incredible activity, the rebirth of the of the city. I mean, that is exciting. That's exciting. It's exciting to be here. It's exciting to film here, to actually be a part of and witness, I mean, really the recreation of an American city, and just the attitude, the work ethic, the sincerity of working with people in Detroit and Michigan. It's a big reason why we do enjoy living here, working here, staying here, and doing what we do.
Coming up after the break, my interview concludes with Michael Manasseri and the Deka Brothers as I ask them some more interesting questions about their careers. When Visiting Professionals continues.
What's happening, OU? I'm Jake Plotz, and welcome to another episode of Out and About.
Hello, and welcome to Veterans History Project. I'm your host, Sarah.
Welcome back to another episode of Focus on Faculty. I'm your host, Anna Robb.
What up? It's your boy, Dan Gordon. I'm here on the set of The Deka.
Welcome to another episode of Visiting Professionals. I'm your host, Austin Slaybaugh.
Hey, OU. I'm your host, Rihanna.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Explore OU.
Welcome back to Visiting Professionals. Today, I'm visiting with film producers and directors Michael Manasseri and the Deka Brothers. I had some important educational questions to ask them, and they were happy to share their knowledge with me. What would you guys tell a student that's growing up here, a student that wants to go down these career paths? What advice would you give them?
It's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult to give one advice to someone, except that you need to. You're going to fail a lot, so just keep getting back on your feet and keep pushing. You know.
Mm-hmm. Michael, did you care to elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of what he said is part of it. You have to, especially for this career, whether it's filmmaking, whether it's acting, whether it's being in the arts in general. I mean, you have to have this incredible love for it. And of course, you develop that. You develop that through school. You develop that through taking risks, taking chances, and the people who inspire you. And just something specific about, and part of the reason why we're talking here right now, we have worked with Oakland University, with the Cinema Studies program. We're going on 6 years now. And we've worked with over 300 students in different capacities of bringing them onto our sets, and so they can have a real world experience. So they're not just studying theory in the classroom or making short films at school. We're bringing them onto professional sets so they can actually see what happens in the real world of filmmaking. How do you behave on a set? What's the protocol? What's the etiquette? What are the different positions? What are things that, you just have no idea how things work and what the workflow is, from pre-production into production, into post-production, into dealing with, editing, all the way down to distribution, which is where I met these guys because I was working in distribution. So that path is finding a place like that, and we actually do think this is a special situation with what we've developed with OU and the Cinema Studies program. I don't know of too many other programs like this where we're actually giving, freshmen, sophomores, everybody an opportunity to actually experience what it's like in the world to do this. We've really enjoyed the relationship we've had with OU, with the professors, with the students, and we know that a lot of these students have gone on into the world of filmmaking or commercials, and they're having careers now, and we're real happy about that and proud of that.
Guys, I have one last question before we wrap things up. It's a big one. It's an important one. We'll start with you. Is this the best job in the world?
For me, yeah, it is. I think that's the only one I can do anyway. Because I already thought about quitting, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because sometimes, you know, you don't get your projects across. It's get, like I said, you know, it get like difficult and tiring and almost depressing. And you go like, should I quit and do something else? And then you realize, there is not much else I can do. So I mean, for me, that's the best job in the world. And I want to make this job since I'm age 6. I always wanted to be like a filmmaker, and I always wanted to do movies in America, you know.
Mike, do you think this is the best job in the world, man?
I think this is one of the best jobs in the world. And when everything is flowing and when you're actively working on projects that are happening, so when you're directing or when you're producing something, then yes, it is one of the best jobs in the world. And even in terms of my past experience, I would say the same thing for acting as well. If you can work in this industry and be successful at it, it is one of the best jobs around.
Yeah, that's probably the best job in the world for whoever wants to do this job. I think if you are like just passionate about your stuff, if you're a doctor, or if you like to work in, I don't know, in any field, but as long as you're passionate yourself, yeah, that's the best job. I mean, you're meeting tons of people, you're traveling, and you get to to create stuff. Sometimes that's the worst job in the world. So I think the insecurity of jobs coming. Sometimes it's tough, especially when you have a family, but at the end of the day, if you're passionate and you can express yourself, artistically speaking, that's very cool.
Yeah, and also to just what he just kind of touched on, I love that when we have students there who, they need to see this stuff. Because even though this can be the best job in the world, directing a movie can be the best job in the world. And at the same time, as Ben said, it can be the worst job in the world because the pressure can be so intense and you're barely sleeping, but it's exhilarating. Because at the end of it, if you actually get it done, then it's a high like no other. It really is. But it is that combination, because at any moment, everything can fall apart. And it's about the team that you put together and the support system that you put together to make sure things don't fall apart. A lot of times that people say that a movie actually gets made, that in itself is a miracle, because there are so many obstacles. Whether you're shooting a $100 million movie or a $1 million movie or a $100,000 movie, there are so many reasons for that movie to not get done. So if you can actually get it done, there's a victory in that. Then of course it's the struggle of, will anybody ever see this movie? That's a whole other battle. But the fact that you got it done, and even to use the term that's not artistic, but that you have a product. At the end of the day, you have a product. Getting there is a victory.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Visiting Professionals. I'd like to give a special thanks to Michael Manasseri and the Deka Brothers. Till next time, guys, I'm Austin Slaybaugh, signing off.